Move it lyrically through the spirit and count the grace. Face on the blindfold. Face on the blindfold. People make the world go round. People make the world go round.
To be for me. I really got away from believing my own BS. I cleared stuff about me and me. I examined my own self-incrimination, even if it brings up a lot of pain. I released all the games I played to be right. The way I talk with myself matters. I sweet talk and pill talk myself.
You look around, you're beautiful. Come on. Kings and queens of all shades, all sizes, each birth from our own experience, each blessed with our own birthright riches and desires. We emerge from beautiful soil, from the rich depths of the earth. But somehow on this journey, we took a turn and lost our worth.
Being an artist, I have meetings before with like major record labels and different things like that, and I won't say that an A&R of a company said it, but somebody on the side was like, if you were a little lighter, you probably would go real fast, and I was like, whoa, so this is really happening. Like, so that has been said to my face, and I know so many artists, especially female artists that are my friends, they are more attacked with that than anything. So it is definitely real in the entertainment industry, for real. Even if you look at all the TV stuff, it's a complex with it. Even if you watch commercials, you'll see if they have a brown skinned lady as a wife, her husband is gonna be white. And if it's a brown skinned brother, she's gonna be very light or Hispanic. So the colorism continues to play in that industry, and that's how it affected me.
You know, even as we're having the conversation in the room, we all have a story, and I think that was one of the things that brought us all together, is that we have a starting point of when we started identifying in ourselves, okay, there is a difference. Because as a child, you know, most of the time, you play with white, black, brown, Hispanic, all shades, and then there's a point where each of us, at some point, even in the room, shifted to where you started noticing a difference. Whether it started with yourself, or it was in a classroom. For me, it was, and I shared about it on one of the posts. For me, there was a young lady who was a beautiful, lighter hued, brown skinned girl, and in elementary school ID, I said, I noticed the favoritism towards her. And we were both smart, both brilliant young ladies in the same accelerated classroom, but I noticed that my teachers preferred her. Now, my parents are both brown skinned, dark skinned, and from the South. We didn't have a variation of how I was treated, but I got it in school. And so at some point, whether it's, some people say, you know, you need to address what happens at home, but sometimes it happens in school, or sometimes it happens when you're in a grocery store. You notice the difference of when people start to shift of how they address or how they move, and you start to think, well, what's the difference? What's different between them and me? And you start to go through, whether you're a child or as a teenager, that maybe how I look has to be treated differently, or is not as good as what's next to me. And what we've discussed, and I didn't realize this until our conversation, is that our light-skinned sisters have the same challenge that our brown-skinned or dark-skinned sisters are having. I didn't know that until, as an adult, I just went black skin, dark skin, melanin popping, all of that, and thought that only because I was dark skinned that I didn't really see on the other side that light skinned women were having the same challenges. And so we had to start thinking about, I'm sorry, I got really excited about it, but we had to start thinking how daily we interact with each other and start making differences, and how you start making adjustments, and then start making a change in yourself so that we can start breaking this unnecessary static, so that entertainment industry can't do something stupid like that, so that people are not going to be able to get my dollars, which are very valuable, to be able to say, hey, we need to put everyone out there because they are all valuable and they're all beautiful.
Where do you think, where do you all's personal experiences of colorism, that you identified that there was a colorism issue in your life, where was your first experience at?
I can say, I remember being young, and I woke up Black people every day, all day projects. And one albino, we treated him like crap as children because he didn't look like us. And it wasn't until, I would like to say, maybe 5th or 6th grade, and it started to click in me because we didn't like anything African, booty scratcher, all this stuff. I mean, we would say it, and we would embrace the white cowboys getting the bad Indians because we were conditioned with lies. And it's in your formative years, from 5 to let's say 12, you are saturated with the European idea of what beauty is, and what wealth is, and what self-love is. So if self-love is them, if self-love is loving Brooke Shields, because I'm Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, whatever, when we were younger, or liking John Wayne, or liking Elvis, because he can move his hips, and we've been moving our hips since God created us. You know, it's like you can't have that value for yourself, and it's more of a socialization project than anything, because it's the oldest thing, divide and conquer. The more they find ways to divide us, God giving us more and more labels, the less we will unify. They don't have to worry about, like, white isn't a race. White is a status. It's a social status. Because anybody can be white. Fill out an application today and say I'm white. Do it. Tiffany Haddish said she did it. You know, it's just what do you say that you are? Black is also a social status. It's just that it's on the opposite end of the spectrum, because that's the way they set the game up, because they never ever want us to see what we can truly be. If you watch the Olympics, you saw in track that it was us everywhere, from every country, helping them out, getting their goal. So, you have to really, really think about how you're conditioning yourself. And when you look in the mirror, do you see more of them, or do you see more of you? And that goes down to everything. And I think it's really hard on women. I'm not gonna, I don't really want to separate, but I think it's really hard on women because this country has made beauty such an important thing.
Yeah.
And men get fat, sloppy, they're distinguished. So for women, it's like have longer hair, have longer eyelashes, have this, and you're told that you're not pretty, but you got Armenians out there putting stuff in their buttocks and in their lips to look just like you. But the conditioning is so good. The invisible fence, and you're like, I'm celebrating, she's a woman. No. You are straight blackfacing me all day with everything. I just came from San Diego, and I just saw like white people twerking on in the street and stuff. And I was like, if black people were doing that, they would have been like a prostitute, a slut, but it was a white dude. And I'm just thinking, like, black people are portrayed to be negative no matter what they do. It's just a matter of time. So when we look at ourselves, you look at the person next to you, you look at the person on the street, don't think that they just have a dark shadow cast up over them. Allow yourself to see the light in people, because we do have light.
We do.
We're the children of the sun.
Preparing for this panel has made me contemplate a lot of stuff. So I've been saying white supremacy mindset, white supremacy mindset. But to answer what he was saying, it's more about race supremacy mindset. And we have to understand that we've been programmed by race supremacy mindset. So we don't even know any other values other than that. We don't know what it would look like to love ourselves in a way that's bigger than what they told us to love. We don't understand that, so that's why we're judging ourselves. That's why we're going against ourselves. So I'm learning, even today, I'm deprogramming, and I have to tell myself over and over again, so-called white people, they are just as programmed as we are, because that's why they don't see it. They don't see anything against us, because they're programmed too that they're supposed to be in a certain place. We're programmed to be in a certain place, and then within us, we're programmed to like this one or like that one, or love this or love that, because the TV, the media continues to indoctrinate us with all this, hate. Even today with coronavirus, it's starting to make people hate. So this is what media does. It starts to make us fight. And so I'm learning every day to try to come against the idea of not loving my people. Come against the idea of what white, black, that thing is, because that's really not real. It's really not. It's not a real. It's a construct that continues to separate us. And so I want to come against race identity. Race identity makes us have colorism,
Your child can come out any complexion, of any hue of copper. You are actually, as he said, we are the children of the sun, which means that you are actually a God. You're actually the children of Israel. You are the real deal.
Yes.
From everything, the Most High created you in His image. Your hair is not fur. It's a coil, which means it connects you to the source. Your hue has carbon. We call it melanin. This within itself protects you from the sun. I like how you brought up Ray Simone. One of the things that I like being a sister in, the little lighter hue, I'm really not trying to stick to the titles, but when the sun come out, I'm the first one. Let's go, guys. When I was younger, I wanted to be browner. I never had a light-skinned baby. My baby has always been chocolate. I had a chocolate Cabbage Patch. I didn't know the difference. My family did not teach me the difference in complexion. I learned that I was light-skinned in 9th grade. My English teacher, who was darker, kept giving me bad grades. I was the only sister in the class. And when I asked her why she gave me bad grades, she said she didn't like the way I signed my name. What? So then, trying to handle this myself, I didn't say anything to my mother. Someone told me, switch out your paper with the white girl. So we switched. I continued on her paper. I got a C. This was the white girl, but she got an A. Wow. That's when I took it to my mother, right? And my mother is brown skin. Both of my parents are darker than me. So that whole thing about, if you're light skinned, you come with dark, that's not true. You have an Eve gene. The baby can come out in any complexion that the baby wants to come out in, okay? But nonetheless, when we got down to the nitty gritty, because my mother's from Memphis, she wasn't gonna play that. We got down to the nitty gritty, the teacher's name, I'll never forget her. Her name was Miss McFarland. And she said to me, my mother, and my black principal, whoa. She said, I had to humble you. Because what you'll think is you can get away with just being light-skinned and making it in life. That's the day I learned I was light-skinned. Because my family, the community I come from, my best friends were from Puerto Rico. I had a good friend that was from Belize. I didn't even know she was a black girl. She was like, I'm a black girl, I'm a Belizean black girl. And I'm like, what? What's that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm thinking we all little girls, And believe it or not, although my friends were from Jamaica, Belize, and Puerto Rico, I'm still lighter than them. I did not know what it was to be light-skinned until that day. And to a certain extent with that, I felt bad. It took my parents to talk to me and tell me there's no difference in your complexion. She is the one who has an issue. So one of the things I want us all to leave here understanding is you are the real deal. No matter what the complexion is, you the real deal. You the real one. You the real one. That's why you have to come against you. And I know we keep saying they, and I'm gonna specifically tell you who they is. They, when it comes to colorism alone, whether it's economically or psychologically, the they is the global beauty industry. So it's economics. If we're going to talk about slavery, we want to talk about colorism, we want to talk about putting you in a housing project, we want to talk about giving you zip codes. It's economics. We have to start shifting our minds to economics. So when you see the game play, you're like, I got you, because I actually own the music industry. I'm actually the person that owns this part of this industry. We own nothing. We're consumers because they made us that way. So it's time to shake the table, shift it. So who's in the global beauty industry? It's real simple. Estee Lauder. That's the main group. Estee Lauder is the main one putting the chokehold on us. Estee Lauder. You have Estee Lauder. You have Elf. I don't use these cosmetics. When I started researching who it was, I let it go. You have Elf. You have Madison Reed. These people specifically today, right now, as we are speaking, has tricked the masses from North America, Central America, South America, Caribbean islands, and over there in Africa to have women of a darker hue to bleach their skin. Guess how much money they're going to make in 2024? Throw a number out there for me.
18 million.
Bring it up.
18
Bring it up. A trillion? Bring it up. They're going to make $28 billion just on bleaching cream.
Wow.
Stop it. The way that we stop it is, I hate to say it, you got to bring it on back to Malcolm. Hold that dollar. Start informing each other. And I like how you said, this right here is something that takes us away from each other. If you are a person who is practicing colorism, I don't care which side it is, you need to stop. And we need to start dealing with people who practice this, and definitely people who like to stir the pot. We're not going to make it if we are continuing to separate ourselves based off of actually something that's your power. You have dominant genes, and they wish that they could be you.
See this right here? Can y'all feel this? Can y'all feel the energy right now? This right here is why we need a part two. Say part two! Part two! So tell your friends, get your ticket. 3, 4, and 5. That's right. Make sure for the next colorism event, tell them they need to be in the building. Okay? Okay? Because as we all know, we ain't gonna be able to solve this in one conversation, but because I know you've been trying to jump in that double-dutch rope, hallelujah, we gonna give her the final moments and then we're gonna move on. Everywhere, it's all right. It's all right.
I appreciate everything that was said. Education was one of the primary things that we talked about. So I want everybody to be able to go, as a business owner, in the discussion about we're not understanding of how to operate in business, but the reality is that we've been serving and working for everyone else, but it's hard for us to do it for ourselves. So one of the things our Black leader, Maggie Anderson, is a woman and her husband who spent a year of only supporting Black businesses. This completely shifted my perspective of how I'm going to approach life for myself. So I encourage you, that's a takeaway for you all to be able to look it up, look on YouTube. They spent a whole year of only going to Black businesses. Now, it was difficult because now you got to find where the grocery store is. You may have to drive somewhere else. You may have to go and interact with someone who has bad customer service or good customer service, because I think our people are amazing, and I think we have this interaction with people that people really don't understand, but that we can be able to connect with each other, and we just haven't gotten to the place of being able to identify that. But go there, look at it, and then start to shift for yourself. How am I going to change daily? This is not just to, put our points, but how are we going to change daily our thought about ourselves, about our sisters, our brothers, our businesses? Because I've heard numerous times about how the people are not going to support Black businesses, but y'all keep going to McDonald's, they don't have